Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us as part of season two of Spark Sessions. Typically, we bring in one of our vendors to come and show sort of some new technology or what's latest with their brand. Today, you're stuck with me. I thought we'd have some fun and go over a couple of new products that Cooper's launched over the last like 3 or 4 months, some of which are brand new. Some of which are actually some sort of like generational upgrades that you're going to see sort of rotate through your inventory over the next couple of weeks. Now, just as a reminder, this is being recorded. So down the road, if you need to listen to this again, or if you want to share this with your team, you certainly can. It'll be housed on our website under our line card. There's a presentations tab there, as well as good old YouTube. We'll find her there. So without further ado, as I said, so MarketPro is part of Cooper's overall stock package, and there's been a couple of really exciting updates that we couldn't wait to get in front of you guys. So some of you may have seen this already. I know the reps in each of the territories have their own samples now, but if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you will very, very, very soon. So the first one we're going to talk about today is something called the SMX. Now, this was launched back in November of 24. They came out first with the 14 and 18-inch sizes. Both size has a round and a square profile. We're seeing this as sort of like your elevated sort of dog dish replacement. The FM has been doing quite well at that $30 to $40 price point. This one's a little bit above that, yet it just has way more options and really, really, really looks great. The entire sort of face of the SMX is completely illuminated. It has a very thin sort of profile around the outside, so it is great and performs very well. Each of them has 5 CCTs and 3 lumen packages. There's 2 dimming platforms too. You can get 0 to 10, which is great for those commercial applications. I think about common areas in hallways and in mixed use. I think about office replacements, that kind of thing. It also has a triac or a line voltage dimming option. With the triac or line voltage dimming option, you actually get a 6 color select, and that's dim to warm. So really, really, really great for that those residential applications. What I love about this is how it installs. And we'll talk a bit about this on the next slide as well, but it basically has a bracket that mounts to the junction box, and it's a quarter turn to install this in. I've actually put this in myself. I like to do it, and I like to screw it up and tell people what not to do. On the back of the large SMXs, there's a small cable. And typically you'd look at the aircraft cable as something for seismic, but it actually helps you when you go to install it. So once you've got that bracket installed, your contractor hooks this, it's like a little hook, hooks onto the loop on the bracket, and the fixture can then hang. You can make your connection and then install it. Don't take the cable off like I did and have to get a stool and mount it on your shoulder. It wasn't very pretty, but very easy to install. You can also get decorative trims for this as well, and you get the classics. You get black. There's a satin nickel as well as a Tuscan bronze. What we're excited about is the 4, 6, and 8-inch have now launched. And what we're seeing this now as a bit of a replacement for the legacy SMD series. SMD has been around for 6, 7 years now and has done great. We had the junction box and the direct mount sort of versions. However, there were some challenges with install, and I've got some info on the next slide. What you've got now, though, is you've got a 4, 6, and 8-inch in the SMX. Each of which size has 3 separate lumen packages. So the 4-inch starts around 650, and the 8-inch gets as high as 1500 lumens. All of these are zero, or sorry, they're not 0 to 10, they're triac dimming, and you get your 5 CCTs plus a dim to warm option as well. It's the same look as the larger sizes. The entire face is illuminated, and you can also get some decorative trims for that. Now, as I said, this is what we see, that we see this replacing the SMD, and for good reason. So the way the SMD mounted, you can kind of see it here. There's sort of like this flat plate that gets mounted, and you can see I've highlighted here. There's these little pins. So what happens is, as the contractor goes to install it, they have to push from the middle and push up. If they push from the outside, the pins don't quite sit properly, and it led to a little bit of frustration on install. The way the SMX mounts, though, is it has like a bracket with a quarter turn. So this bracket gets mounted into the junction box first, and you wire in the SMX. It goes in, and then you rotate it a quarter turn, and it fits up nice and snug. All 5 sizes have a really healthy gasket around the outside too. So it is wet location listed, but it's great to suck up to the drywall, especially if you have like an old sort of spackle ceiling. It really, really snugs in quite nicely. So much easier on the install and more options included in the downlight itself. So moving on, we're getting into sort of the downlight update. So the first one we're going to talk about today is the LT series. LT is Cooper's most economical grade of recessed downlight. Traditionally, the LT series had three color temperatures, so you had to kind of choose between which one your branch wanted to stock, and if you needed the full five CCTs, you had to stock two different SKUs. So now we're happy to report that the LT series has five CCTs at that category, and you can get them a white and black, which is great. I know we've all been looking for black trims from Halo, so we're starting to see that now. The other big thing to talk about with the LT is you're able to get a smooth splay overlay. So what we saw sort of in the 90s and early 2000s was that baffled look was very popular in downlighting. Today, designers are looking for more of that smooth splay on the inside of the trim. So with the LT now, it comes stock with the baffle, but you can get a trim ring that goes over top to give it that nice smooth look at not much more cost. So again, five CCTs in direct mount. You can use this in a retrofit or new construction application. 3, 4, and 6 inch. These are available today. The other update in the same category was the HLB SL. And again, the SL is Cooper's most economical grade of wafer light. Again, upgraded now from 3 CCT to 5 CCT. These are great. It's your lowest cost option if you really need to get down and dirty with wafer lights. These are also available in a 12 pack in both the 4 and the 6 inch sizes, which is good for some contractors, especially if they're doing like a large home or they're doing multifamily. It really does a good job in cutting down on waste. A little bit more of a time saver for the contractor as well. Everything's plastic. You got a plastic trim, flat plastic lens, and a sort of economy grade driver. The new version they launched on the premium side, which I used to call the Field Select, now I guess it's just the HLB original, is we're still getting 5 CCTs, but now you also get lumen selectability. So before, in the entire HLB category, you only had one lumen package to sort of play with. Now they've updated the premium option with 5 CCTs and 3 lumen packages, up to 1,200 lumens. All of us lighting nerds out there, I can imagine like a high lumen wafer light is a bit, makes a shudder just a little bit. But if you do have a high ceiling application, these are getting sold into the market. So there certainly is some demand for it. This HLB version, not only is it to the lumen select, but it's also got a glare reducing lens, which really cuts down on the high angle glare. And it has an updated junction box. And I'm about to show you what that means. So the first junction box I'm showing you here goes with the HLB SL, and actually it's also the same for the LT as well. It's a standard junction box. You've got your 4 knockouts, you've got a small wiring cavity right here, and your selectable switch is on the inside of the junction box, which is fine when you're doing new construction install. But if they have to make a change, it's a little bit more work to pull the downlight out, pull the box down, and then make your selection. With the updated HLB, you get this driver box. Now it's a little bit smaller in size, so it fits into some more spaces. You can see that you've got your selectability switch on the outside of the driver box, which is again nice if you're making on-the-fly changes in existing jobs. The biggest thing that I like to talk about are these connectors right here. So you'll hear Halo, it's the side and slide connectors, or basically what it is, it's a plastic Lumex connector that's incorporated into the junction box, which allows the contractor to do an install without any tools. So no longer do they have to knock out this knockout, put in a 4040, pull their Lumex through the 4040, and then wire it in this very small little cavity. All they do is they open up that hinge, they make their connection on the outside of the box, gently tuck their wires into the cavity, and they slide the white part of the Lumex jacket through this little slot here, and then close it a little bit too fast there, and then close it. It will not pull out. It's rated for just as if a 4040 was in there, but there's no tools necessary. And it really saves up to about 50% of time for a contractor to go put that in. So extrapolate that over a project, they can get a lot of time back by using these junction boxes. We've got a pretty major update happening to the wall pack series as well. So over the last couple of years, we've been selling two flavors of wall pack. We have the ASWP, which is your slim style, and the WPM series, which had two sizes. We had the 15S and the 25S, which maxed out around 13,000, just under 14,000 lumens. What Cooper's doing now is they're introducing three new sizes as a conversion from the other platform. along with a couple other features. So available today is the 26S, which is a direct replacement for the 25S. The main difference is we're getting two more color temps. So you're getting 3000K and 6500K built right in. Um, and you've got your photocell inherent in the SKU itself, and you get your 12347-volt driver, and that's in that medium body. What's coming is a small version, which will get you up to 8100 lumens. We usually see these over man doors or smaller mounting heights. Again, 5 CCTs, 12347-volt driver, and you have the ability to enable the photocell. The one that we're most excited about is the large size. So BC Hydro, for those of you that do BC Hydro retrofits, what they want in an exterior setting to replace a 400-watt mill halide, they want 19,000 lumens. And we weren't able to achieve that with the original WPM series, but we will be able to once this launches in May with the 38S. You can see here on the screen, it goes up to 21,000 lumens. So far exceeds the requirements for BC Hydro. You get those 5 color temps that we've been talking about. I should mention, like having that 3000K in the wall packs is really beneficial. For us on the specifier side, what we're seeing is warmer color temps on exterior, and they're really trying to mimic that sort of older high pressure sodium look, that orangey glow. This is not orange, but it's certainly warmer than having 5000K, which is what we had as LEDs sort of first hit the market. So you do have that ability now with all 3 of these sizes. And once again, 12347-volt and with the photocell. I'll summarize this, or I'll finish off by saying we've already added all 3 of these sizes to the BC Hydro e-catalog. So once the small and the large size do launch, you'll be ready to hit the ground running with some good BC Hydro approved wall packs for retrofits out there. Okay, the last product we're going to cover today is the UHBS 2. So you're probably familiar with the UHBS. This is our sort of round high bay, IP65 rated, has a built-in compatibility for a sensor, so you don't need to have the sensor, but you can add that in via inventory, which was a big time saver for us. I mean, if someone wanted a high bay with a sensor, it was great. You had to wait 10 weeks. Now we can do it right out of stock, and they're programmable, which is really helpful. The UHBS 2 has just launched. There's a few major changes to it. Number one, you can see here on the top, it's got a removable driver box, and that allows Cooper and us to get a little bit flexible in the options we put in. So before we couldn't do things like wavelengths in this high bay, but now we're going to be able to do that at a factory setting. You have more color temps now too. So we have 5 CCTs instead of 3, which is very helpful. The biggest thing that we get here is selectable distribution. I think this is really revolutionary for us. So basically, the higher lumen packages you get, higher ceiling heights you get, it's helpful to narrow that beam down to push light down to the floor, especially in like a warehousing application. And before, we had just medium distribution. You can pick your lumen package, but you were always stuck at that medium distribution. With the UHBS 2, it actually has a rotatable lens, and it has very clear settings on that lens. You can show a wide, a medium, or a narrow distribution. And simply by rotating the lens, it'll allow the contractor to narrow or widen their beam depending on what's required on site. It also has a little locking mechanism as well, so they can set it, click it, and lock it, and forget about it. Same benefits as this has as the UHBS original, which has it's 5 CCTs over 3, 12347-volt, still IP65 rated, which is very helpful, especially in dirty environments. Rarely does the end user think to clean their high bays, but they can do that from the ground using a hose. All good there. And they've actually increased the length of the power cord for the UHBS 2 as well, from 6 to 10 feet, which based on your feedback is something that was very useful. So that was a very quick and dirty kind of update on some of the latest updates with MarketPro. I'm going to have a quick peek at the questions, see if anybody has any questions, but let's have a quick look here. Nothing in right now. Okay. If you do have questions, please reach out to your local representative. Again, they do have some samples they can combine. They can show you. They're available for joint sales calls if you've got some contractors or some end users that would want to see these new products. And for now, we'll sign off. Thanks again for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. See you later.